So the unfortunate reality is there's a lot of manipulative men out there. All right. Now, I do not believe, I know that the majority of men are not just manipulative, horrible men. I know some of you may feel like that, but no, there's a lot of good men out there. I do think a lot of the bad experiences people go through are heavily due to the mismatch of those two people rather than that individual just being inherently this horrible person, okay? But that's a whole nother different discussion. None of that changes the fact that there are men out there that you may come across that are literally out to manipulate you, literally out to use you, take advantage of you. And some women may say, well, Stephan, you need to talk to these men and tell them to stop acting this way. I hear you. I have my channel for men. I encourage healthy behavior. But no matter how many men I talk to and reach, like I can get 5 million men tomorrow to start being extra amazing. That doesn't change that there's billions more out there who you may one day come across who may do things the wrong way. One of them or a few of them, whatever. So you have to focus on what you can control. And what you can control is understanding how these men operate. Understanding the tactics that they use so that you don't fall into the trap of letting them play you and get the best of you. So go into this video saying, okay, by me getting a better understanding of these things, I can navigate through the waters of unhealthy men a lot better. And that way also not get discouraged or caught up in a way that it blocks you from receiving that great man, okay? So let's get into some of these tactics. And I have a video that names some other ones, but these are more tactics that a manipulative man might use. And so one of the first ones I want to talk about is giving you the silent treatment, okay? So you have a lot of advice on the internet nowadays that tell men to essentially use silence as a weapon. And let's be real, there are women who have done the same. But we're not going to focus on the women right now. We're focusing on what the men do. And so essentially, whether some refer it to, it's just telling men to ignore you, things of that nature, to cause you to then, crave their attention and want the validation and essentially put the power back in their hands, all these different things. Now, I have to acknowledge and let you know that there's some men who are doing that simply due to bad advice being given to them, and they think that's the best way to handle it, even with a woman they actually do care about. I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of men are being led astray in that sense. However, there are the men who are they know the game and how this game works. And so they will use the silence because, let's say, for example, you've been upset with them. This man has not been giving you the attention and the time that you need from him, right? So you hit him up and you're expressing your frustration. You feel like he doesn't give you enough time and all these types of stuff. All right, he hears you out. And then the next few days, he goes silent. And sometimes that tactic is done because it's like, okay, even though it was literally just about giving you more time, by going silent on you, it's like taking the spotlight off of and I know that might sound weird because you're like, well, it's still highlighting the fact that he's not giving you his time and attention, but it makes it now about you, like hoping that he hasn't left you, all right? So it switches it from you holding him accountable to not showing up the way that he needs to, into you being afraid that, oh my gosh, I might have lost this man, so now let me try to get him back or smooth things over, right? Or when you talk to him, you're like, well, why haven't I heard from you? And now he can I've been going through some things, and he's completely changing the subject. And because you're so happy, or that woman is just now relieved that she was able to talk to him again and he's back into her life, so to speak, it's like the real issue gets brushed under the rug. So the silent treatment can be used to create anxiety within you, can be used to create fear within you. And all these manipulation tactics that we're going to go through, they tend to then turn the tables. They turn to remove the focus being on him and whatever the specific issue was, and either putting it on you or turning it into something completely different. So now, if you come across a man who engages in that behavior, one, you cannot let the fear of, oh my gosh, did I lose him by trying to hold him accountable to this issue? You can't lose sight of that. Like, so if he finally pops back up, or you reach out to him and now he answers, he doesn't get to dodge that issue. Like, don't make the mistake of just now moving forward because you guys are now talking again. No. Are we going to correct what we talked about before you went ghost or not? And if we're not, if anything, you should actually see his silence as a greater example of why you don't need to be dealing with him. All right? But don't let him trick you into losing sight of whatever you were holding him accountable to. Now, if, for example, because crazy things happen, let's just say there was literally something tragic that occurred. Someone passed away, and so his silence was not a manipulation tactic, but in fairness to you, you're not sure if he's just giving you some story or what the case may be. Then you simply, if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt in that situation, you simply have to lay down the structure of how we're going to handle things moving forward. It's like, all right, cool. You had something happen. You shut down. You didn't know how to handle it. Maybe that's how he tends to handle things. But going forward, if we're going to be in this relationship, I need better communication. I need at least you hitting me up with a text saying, hey, such and such happened. I'm not ready to talk right now. I need a little space, but I want to let you know what's going on. If he can't agree to at least that, there's nothing for you to work with here. Keep it moving. And just accept that this is a man who is either trying to manipulate you, or even if he's not trying to manipulate you, is not healthy enough to be in a good relationship with you. All right, so here's another tactic that a man would use to manipulate a woman, and that's guilt trip you. All right? Guilt is a very powerful thing. It can make people do things they shouldn't do. It can make people remain in situations they shouldn't remain in. You name it. So let me give you an example of how a manipulative man will use guilt. All right? And this is the extreme example, but it happens. You're with this man, it's not a good situation. And again, whether he's a bad guy or it's just he's not for you, either way it's not working. And he hits you with, oh my gosh, if you leave me, I'm gonna kill myself. And now the fear and the guilt of, I don't want anything bad to happen to this man, I can't walk away. Or it could be, he lives with you. You know you need to get rid of him. But you feel guilty that if I put him out, he'll have nowhere to go. And so now that guilt is keeping you in this relationship and allowing this man to continue to leech off of you and take advantage of you. And all of these men, no matter what kind of example I use, they all know your weakness. They all know that deep inside you have a soft spot, and that you're going to have a hard time going through with the action if he hits you with, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. I'm going to kill myself, all these things. Now, it's not that I want anyone to be dismissive of someone threatening suicide. But I also don't want people to be held hostage by someone who's using that as a manipulation tactic. Now, sometimes, you don't know for sure. And this may sound bad, but there comes a point where that's not your responsibility. If it's going to stop, it's one thing for us to ignore somebody's cry for help, and we just need in that moment to stop and pour into them and show them some love and try to help them out. It's nothing for someone to literally try to keep you, like, staying in that relationship means this is an ongoing thing where you are unable to do what's best for you. So you pouring into them is not simply an inconvenience of the moment, right? If that's what it would call for you to help them. It's literally you derailing your life. That to me is a line that you can't cross, because then how long are we going to do this? How long are we going to allow this person to use that and hold that over your head? That's not good. It's not healthy at all. So whatever it is, especially the whole putting him out one, because believe it or not, I mean, that's definitely more common than the suicide one. And there are so many women right now who are just afraid to let a man go because, oh, he has nowhere else to go. And let me tell you something. A lot of times, one, they do have other options. They just don't like the other options. It's almost like, all right, you have some situations where this man could go back and live with his mother. He just don't want to live with his mother. He'd rather be living with you. So he's going to say, I got nowhere else to go. No, he does. He does. And he'll figure it out once he's out on his behind, and he has to make a choice. All right. For some other individuals, it might be what needs to happen for them to get their life together. Some people need to fall flat on their face. Again, no one is saying to put out some man who is good to you and doing his part and pouring into you simply because he doesn't have his life together completely yet. We're talking about a man who is not treating you right, bringing you stress, overburdening you, causing problems, and then wants to use the guilt trip for you to feel bad about putting him out. That's not acceptable. That's not okay. So there's a lot of different scenarios where the guilt can come in, but that guilt trip is definitely a tool some manipulative men will use. All right, so let's keep this going. And another tactic some men will use to manipulate a woman is being very judgmental. All right, so a lot of people do not like to be judged. And fear of other people's opinions can paralyze some individuals. And again, some men understand how powerful that can be and will use that judgment to then control the woman and get her to do the things that he wants her to do. One example that comes to mind that, again, of course, doesn't apply to every man who feels this way, but there's some men who feel like their woman doesn't need to be out nowhere, out with her friends at no club or whatever the case may be. And some of y'all may agree with that. But the point I'm trying to get at is some will take it to the level of, and not just being out, how she dresses when she's not with him, all these different things. And I understand everyone has their line, granted. What I'm telling you is some will use the judgmental nature of, oh, women who go do this are blah, 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 blah. Like, he'll speak down on those women. He will berate those type of women. He will strike fear in you that if you engage in this activity, he will look at you this way. And because you don't want to be looked at in that way, you fear crossing that line. Now, here's the thing. If what he is, again, let's just say how you dress, if you guys are in complete alignment with dressing like that, then this wouldn't matter, right? But if you are now going against what is comfortable for you, what you enjoy, this is a problem because you're allowing this judgmental manipulation to get the best of you. And I think everyone needs to find that person they can be themselves with, right? Not try to accommodate in ways that go against what truly puts a smile on your face, what truly makes you feel comfortable, what truly works for you. And so you have to ask yourself, and I'm sorry to kind of get a little sidetracked here, but it's one of those hitting my spirit moments. So one of the places that judgment has thrown a lot of things off and people being true to who they are and what they like is in the bedroom, okay? And the big problem is, again, if you're not being yourself, whether someone else thinks that you should change that part about you or not, if you're not owning up to what you truly like and what you enjoy, to the point where now these experiences in the bedroom with your partner leave you extremely dissatisfied, that's a problem. Because your willingness to continuously show up in that bedroom is going to be severely diminished. And that creates a different disconnect in the relationship, and it snowballs from there. A lot of people get with a person who will judge and look at them poorly for what their preferences are in intimacy. And that's a problem, because not only should we be able to be ourselves in general, but especially in the bedroom too. Now listen, some people are into some wild, kinky stuff. And I'm not saying everyone, again, no one's saying that anyone has to be down with that. I'm saying that if people would be true to who they are and just recognize, all right, we don't fit because we don't appreciate those parts about ourselves with each other, so to speak, then we move on. We move on. But you can't let that, well, damn, I don't want him to think badly of me. I don't want him to look at me in this way. But then the whole time you're depriving yourself of what you truly desire. That's an issue. But going back to the main point at hand is that, yeah, there's some men out there who will use that judgmental nature. I feel the need to mention, like, especially, I've heard this a lot in situations where, let's say, a woman is dating a very, quote unquote, churchy man, a pastor, whatever. And again, this doesn't apply to everybody that carries that label, but they feel the household has this man has a very judgmental nature to him, to where it not only stifles her ability to open up, it stifles her ability to open up in so many different ways that then it's almost like living in this box that she is so uncomfortable in and afraid to get out of, because she's, one, afraid to face the wrath of his judgment and afraid of the potential that she will lose the man that she's hoping to hold on to, even though she's not really happy because she can't be herself. So be mindful of that, and don't let someone's perception of things cause you to lose sight of who you truly are. Hey, so before we continue, I want you to take this opportunity to show me your love and support by joining my special messaging group, where I send you messages by video, by text, that are encouraging you, pouring love, positivity, and just good energy into you, so to speak. Join today, only $5. Go to the link in the description or link in the comments section, and part of the proceeds from this program go to my Healing Generations Foundation nonprofit. So it will help me in advancing my vision of providing more coaching and therapy to our communities, and doing a lot more than that, because we're going to have so many programs set up, and I'm very excited about what's on the horizon. So again, click the link in the description or in the comment section. Hey, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to check this one out right here, and I'll see you there. So, when I do these videos, I love to give quotes. And I was searching for a quote for this video, and I stumbled on one that I thought was just like, this is perfect. Okay? So I want to read this quote. And it says, a strong